Hello and welcome to the podcast that is gearing up for the busy Christmas period by taking care of that extra box of mince pies that has suddenly appeared on the kitchen surface. It's the big man up top.
Yeah, it is.
How are you doing, Tom?
I'm good. I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to Christmas. It's getting close. Is there football over Christmas?
Oh, it's the most wonderful time of the year for football. Far too much football, of course. Boxing Day games are a big feature.
Wow.
New Year's Day games obviously massive as well. There's basically just non-stop football, Tom.
No rest for the talented.
Exactly. Now listen, for regular fans will be wondering, where on earth is Joe at this point?
Yeah, where's Joe? There's something different about today.
Something different about today. Now, we went to Wembley last week, as people will be all too familiar. And you and I, we got the car back. We drove home.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
Joe decided to get a train back to because he lives sort of a little further away than us two. He made his own way home, and he's just not here.
Yeah, he just hasn't come into work. We've been sending him messages. Like, Joe, where are you? There's so much football been going on.
What on earth is happening? Yeah, no, the truth is that he's on his holiday. And so, as a result, we have super sub extraordinaire Joel Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
He's back. The people are calling, and I've answered the call. give me the last 15-20 minutes, coach. That's all I need. I'm a game changer.
You are my Hugo Ekitike to Joe's Alexander Isak.
That's exactly it. Slightly cheaper, but arguably gets better results.
Arguably better. Yeah, no, of course. We miss Joe, and we do, of course, hear from him very, very soon. I think we should start with some Bible ballers.
Yes, go on.
Are you up for a bit of a quiz, Joel?
Yeah, go on.
You're not the regular.
No, but you're feeling sharp as ever.
Yeah,
so I'm ready.
Look, you've got help from Tom. Tom's
here. Exactly. So we'll work as a team here.
You've got hindrance.
Don't let me down.
Your question today is as follows.
Okay.
So this is a who am I question. I'm a Bible baller. I'm a central defender. I picked up 21 caps for England, including scoring at the 2010 World Cup, and I clocked in over 300 Premier League appearances for clubs such as West Ham and Arsenal. Who am I? So, don't answer yet, but have you got any thoughts, any names that are starting to,
I mean, I'm trying to think back to the 2010 World Cup. Obviously, that was South Africa. And I know because I went there. Me and my dad got a flight down to South Africa. It was incredible, but I think all the vuvuzela noise is clouding my vision right now.
Exactly.
So
all you can hear is
just the whole time. So I'm gonna need some time to think. Maybe me and my teammate Tom may take some time to think about that. But then
I've got thoughts.
Have you?
What thoughts have you got, Tom?
Yeah.
21 caps. What, like bottle caps?
That's right.
He's on
litter
it.
picking for England. What a great guy.
Yeah. Well, have a think, and we'll come back to it later in the show.
Okay.
Listen, Joel, loads went on in the Premier League this weekend, didn't they?
Plenty.
In Joe's absence, it's only fair that we start with Liverpool.
And we probably should.
Picking up a 2-0 win. I think the big chat was all about Salah, wasn't it? He came off the bench quite early in this one. He's been the talking point with all of the sort of throwing, the club have thrown me under the bus chat from last week. But he came on as an early substitute in this one and really made a difference, didn't he?
I think it's a shame to see what is going on behind the scenes. I think it is a good reminder that, realistically, we're watching entertainment here. These guys are not robots. They are people. And yes, they are incredibly talented people. They're people that are putting a lot of time and effort and money throughout the course of the week and the month and the year and then their lives. But they're still human beings. They still have a heart. They still have good days or good seasons and then bad days and bad seasons. So I think it was nice to see him just out there being able to play football even with everything going on. I'm not sure which way this is going to go, but it certainly doesn't seem like the nicest atmosphere at this moment in time. And I'm not sure what Salah is really after or what he's chasing, but it doesn't seem like they're seeing completely eye to eye, and it's a bit of a shame.
Lovely cross for the second goal from the corner for Ekitike's second goal. The thing that I think I enjoyed the most was that moment towards the end of the game where he had Robertson and and Van Dijk herring in support of him running through. It was 3-on-1.
Oh, wow.
And all Salah needs to do is slip either of them in with what felt like a really easy pass. And he completely fluffed his lines. And I just thought, wow, that is, you wanted to sort of add a narrative. Well, is that the week catching up with him? But he is human after all, and all that. But yes, there was also a moment where Chiesa slipped him in as well, and he absolutely ballooned it over the bar. So bless him. He didn't have the best of games in terms of his usual clinical self, but really made a difference. And I think Liverpool will want him still firing on all cylinders going into the second half of the season.
100%. I think especially when you think back to, in more recent history, like Liverpool teams of great, one of the things that has been the most scary about them is their sheer fearlessness. You think back to kind of when it was Salah and Mane, especially in Firmino. Like these guys, they weren't scared of anyone. You could have put a giant in their way and they're like, it's all right, we're going to take you out. It's going to be fine. They didn't stop for anything. It was like they had complete ice in their veins, and it was beautiful. It was scary to play against. It was beautiful to watch, though. And I think that we are seeing that Salah is very much a confidence player. And while that is, I think, it could be said for players across the board, maybe he's a little bit shakier and not quite as secure and solid as he was. And it'll be interesting to see what happens from there.
Ekitike, again, having a really, really good game. I believe it's 7 goals in 10 now. And again, you don't want to draw the comparison to Isak. Obviously, they're very different players, but Ekitike is one who has really stepped up at a time when Liverpool need players to step up. He's been that player for them.
But also, you say that, Ed, really, like realistically, how different are they? They've both got a similar build. They're both quite good with their feet. They're both willing to take players on, but also pass the ball off to them, move and take it on and have a shot. So actually, for Isak, is he thinking like, look, if I don't find form soon, then Ekitike is there and he's already found it. So it's a fascinating battle to see from especially a neutral. But for them, I wonder if that is even playing a bit of a part in the camp where it's like, right, the rivalry in team here is absolutely brutal. And sometimes that can form the best out of a team, but sometimes it can also put players against each other. And I wonder if that's having a part to play in the wider picture here.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because actually I think that's something we're going to come on to look at later in this episode is what happens when you feel like you're being left out? What happens when you feel like you are surplus to requirements? So we'll definitely come on to that later in this episode. Let's move on to your beloved Chelsea.
Oh, the boys.
The boys beating Everton 2-0.
Yeah.
What did you make of this one? I've got my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts first as the Chelsea fan.
Well, funnily enough, as the Chelsea fan, I didn't even have the chance to watch this game.
Oh,
but looking at the highlights, hearing it from my younger brother, who's a much more avid supporter, we were a little bit anxious about this one in our house. I don't know if I've told you, I may have mentioned this, but my stepdad and my stepbrother are both Everton fans. So like with this kind of thing, in previous years, this has either been something that we've watched through gritted teeth or we just can't play in the household.
This is the powder keg fixture.
This is the one where it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, look, this could either go really well or really badly. Now, bless them, my stepdad and my stepbrother, they are the loveliest people, but if Everton win, they turn into horrible
they
people.
Let you know.
They're cocky. Yeah. They won't let me in a room and breathe without reminding me that we've lost. So with this result, I wanted to be subtle. I wanted to be okay. But like, you know what? Look, that's what we expected. It was fine. It was great to have Cole Palmer back. But interestingly enough, I think Everton, it's not exactly like they were playing bad football. They gave away a few chances. Obviously, Garnacho missed that, a goal that he should have at least hit the target. But there were a couple chances where you're like, all they need is a foot in a different direction, and suddenly there are 2 goals in it, and then who knows which way it could go. I think the Bridge is a very hard place to go. Even when Chelsea aren't on the best of form, the Bridge is a very hard place to be.
I completely agree. I actually wrote in my notes for this one that I think Everton would be quite within their rights to feel very hard done by, in that they generally played really well. Will be really disappointed with missing the chances that they created loads, and as a manager, David Moyes will just be delighted that they created what they did. Interestingly, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall going off injured in this one, and that will be of concern to David Moyes, because he's been sort of in a team of players that are playing really, really well, he's been up there. They had a chance before this game to go fourth, would you believe?
Which is incredible.
So he's really been part of the turnaround. But lots of exciting things going on still at Everton, despite the defeat, I think. Let's move on to Arsenal winning at home to Wolves 2-1. Champions-elect and all of that chat a few months ago. That gap has very much narrowed now. They're getting the wins, but sort of very much grinding out the wins, aren't they, Arsenal?
Yeah, 100%. I think when you look at Wolves and the state, bless them, that they are in. Now, I know that there is technically no easy team in the Premier League. The level is so high. But how many points are Wolves on? They've got hardly any. Are they
still on 2?
I'm pretty sure it's on 2 points. And this was definitely the case kind of 10 or so years ago, maybe, that as the league leaders, you would be putting this team to bed with your second team, with kind of the reserves that just need to get an appearance and get a bit of game time. So for this to be the case, if it was, I don't know, maybe a slightly different season where bottom of the league were doing at least slightly better, then I may give them a bit more grace. But Arsenal do seem very, very shaky, and I don't know how long they're going to last with this lead, but I think they really, really need to find some kind of stability. Otherwise, it's going to crumble away in seconds.
One team that is starting to pick up a head of steam is Man City.
Frustratingly, yeah.
Who managed to win 3-0 away at Crystal Palace this weekend, which is no mean feat. Palace are a difficult team to play at the best of times, but even at Selhurst Park, it was really remarkable. And I think another 2 goals for Haaland. Man City really getting into their stride now, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And Man City have been this one team where, especially towards the business end, the second half of the season, they are so dangerous. We've seen this over the last kind of handful of seasons. Those last 10 games seem to be Man City's each and every time. And so again, for Arsenal, they can't be anywhere near City during that point, because if they drop the ball at all, it's going to come back to bite them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just see a steady incline now of City. Maybe not anything too remarkable, but just that steady incline of starting to get better and better results. And especially after a win like that, they're going to be confident as anything heading to the rest of the year.
And I think it makes for a really exciting title race.
It does, yeah.
Because again, Arsenal a few weeks ago, you're thinking, well, it's sewn up, and all of a sudden it isn't. City, you're thinking, well, they've gone, they're adrift, and all of a sudden they're right back in it. You've got teams like Villa, we'll come on to them shortly, who are all of a sudden turning up. So it's a very exciting time for the neutral. Another team that won 3-0 at the weekend was Nottingham Forest. Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest putting more pressure on Thomas Frank's Spurs as they lost 3-0 at the City ground. Let's start with Nottingham Forest first. I think when Sean Dyche came in, there was a lot of maybe a bit of sort of scoffing and maybe a bit of football snobbery about Sean Dyche and the way he plays. But actually, he's got Forest playing really exciting, attacking front foot football, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I think Sean Dyche has got this... I don't know, he seems to have got this reputation now where he only belongs in the bottom end clubs and he'll scrape out a win, whereas actually he is a brilliant manager, and while he has been put in those places for struggling teams, what he has shown is that he's able to really build a team from the ground up. But when you step into a team like Forest that have shown consistently that they've got this quality now, when you get the bare bones sorted, then players can express themselves because they're like, we are confident and we do back the players behind us, so yeah, let's go for it. Why not? Let's give it a try. And I'm really excited actually for Sean Dyche and for this team to be able to actually have really solid football at the base of it, and then to be able to bring that flair that we've seen from Forest over the kind of past recent history.
The issue with Spurs this year has been their home form broadly. There's been sort of a bit of hostility with fans not being happy with the way they're playing at home. And so actually for them to lose in this way, away from home has been their saving grace, but they really didn't perform away from home. So there is more pressure on Thomas Frank.
I actually had something to say about Spurs, guys.
Go for it. Give us your insight, Tom.
It seems like their fans aren't spurring them on.
Exactly.
Listen, that's good.
Listen,
but dumb.
I think moving swiftly on, Joel. Just keep quiet over there, Tom.
I'll go back into my corner.
Speaking of teams playing well away from home, Villa getting a great away win at West Ham and very much cementing their status as in and around the title race, bizarrely. You know, spoke about it last week. They've got that rough patch out of the way early on, and now they're charging on towards the right end of the table.
Well, I think it was it last season or maybe the one before, where there just seemed to be something in the air of like, oh yeah, actually Villa are not only a really tricky team to play, but actually they're biting on the heels of kind of the top 2, top 3. And I think there was an element of that at the very start of the season. We were excited of like, okay, what's new that they're going to bring? And it just was not clicking as a team. Like Ollie Watkins wasn't working, Morgan Rogers, none of it was kind of fitting in place. And then now, like you said, they've kind of gotten all that rubbish out the way, and then they're starting to pick up a bit of steam now. They're a very exciting and a fast-paced team to play against. They've got some brilliant young players, and so hopefully we can again see them just unnerving the top 3, maybe the top 4, and just saying like, hey, look, if you drop the ball, we're right here, and we're this club that you've almost got something to prove. And with, I think, players like that, it's a scary thing.
But also there's kind of very little expectations from the Villa fans.
Which is the most
League
dangerous place to
is
be.
Amazing for them.
Yeah.
We also should mention Sunderland have the bragging rights in the northeast after defeating Newcastle in the Tyne-Wear derby 1-0. A Voltemade own goal in this one. Yes.
What an exciting team at the moment, though, Sunderland. They're just, again, no expectation. Everything to play for because they're confident now. Xhaka's playing well and he's just loving being in the spotlight. He's such a drama queen. But you know what? Fair play. Like when they're getting the results that they are, it's like, yeah, they were just an exciting, difficult little team to play against. Really, really good stuff.
Right, Joel, what do you think about stats and analysis? You must have like a friend who's like, oh, he's big into the stats, and he's, or a Twitter account that you follow. What do you think it's all nonsense, or do you think it's really interesting stuff?
I think there was kind of like a golden era where the stats made sense. They were simple enough that they were valid as well, and they did highlight a player's performance. Whereas now, the majority of them are so niche, where it's like in the past 7.5 minutes, this player has turned on the ball 3 times, and that meant that there were 4 goal involvements or something. And it's like, what does that mean? I can't understand now what's going on. I think I've got a few mates that they are willing to use that kind of thing, but I think there's a kind of a general air at the moment of like, what is the point of this? What are we going on about? Yeah. Why is there all this stuff that just seems to be a bunch of bells and whistles trying to be a little bit too clever?
Well, there's the element of just needing to create content for content's sake. Did you know this is the 6th time that such and such player has scored when visiting an away ground that was in a conservative
that ended with a letter Y. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't matter. What's the score?
Tom, as the non-football guy, when I say to you XG, does that mean anything to you?
It means nothing. That's just 2 letters. What does it mean?
XG is expected goals, and XG is not new. It's been around for quite a few years now, probably 10 years or so. But it's all about this stat of how many goals you're expected to have scored in a given game based on the chances that you created and the quality of the chances you've created. Now, listen, Joel, I think we should start using more stats in everyday life. And actually, this is Christmas. It's a perfect time to do it, because I have invented a new stat, Joel.
Oh, very good.
Which is XP. Not experience points for any video games like that. No, shame. XP, which is expected pigs in blankets.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what I want to know, Joel, from you, expected pigs in blankets this year over Christmas. How many over the Christmas period? Have you got a general sense of how many pigs in blankets you're going to consume?
Well, look, there's been a really exciting year in the build up to this, right? My team has started getting more into running quite a bit more. We're doing park runs on the weekends, We're doing running midweek, and that means that we're all trimming down for a season of absolutely going for it in the pigs in blankets.
Tremendous.
We've also brought in a fantastic chef who may or may not be my brother, who's very passionate when it comes to pigs in blankets, and he's a pro with this kind of thing, mainly because he always makes a suitable amount, which is just lots,
which is however many people need times 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I do.
I think that because we also have we do mini pigs in blankets, because they're slightly easier to wrap, and so don't judge me when I say this number. I think we're looking at least an 18
Good gravy.
XP over the course of the Christmas, probably Christmas Day, to be honest.
On Christmas Day.
That's incredible.
Probably on Christmas Day.
Tom, what about you? XP?
I mean, I'm so thankful, Joel. I thought I was going to say, we're doing park run. We're going to take it easy this Christmas. We're not going to have it. No. I was about to berate you. Christmas?
There's a purpose to the work.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be up in the numbers too, I think. I mean, like, my family, we very much don't make our own pigs and blankets. We're like we import them
from La Liga.
No, we bring them in from probably Aldi or something like that. So it just depends how many are in the pack. And this year I've got quite a big Christmas family gathering. So there's going to need to be a lot to go around, because I'm going to aim for at least 8 in a meal, but then it goes to buffet. That's like extra time, right? It goes to buffet, and there I clean up, so it could reach 20.
Listen, it's a busy Christmas period. So I went around the office here at UCB and I asked other people what their expected pigs and blankets score was going to be for this Christmas. UCB2's Samuel Ball. Christmas is a difficult time, fixture congestion and all of that. What's your expected pigs and blankets this Christmas?
Yeah, it is that time of the year, particularly with injuries, looking at the diet, looking at what is on offer. And in fact, pigs and blankets might be a bit in short supply this year, but we do have a surprise, a late substitution of chorizo in blankets, which is a new addition, a January signing that hopefully will come a little early in the latter weeks of December, so people can expect some difference there, a little bit of class, and something different that hopefully will bring the results, particularly around Christmas time.
So you've got special dispensation from the league to bring in chorizo early. That's quite remarkable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the rules are out the window. We have applied, and I think it is possible to make that happen. So that's what's going to be happening.
The rules are out of the January transfer window. I like that. Good. UCB1's Bex Millington. What's your expected pigs and blankets this holiday season?
Oh, you know what? You win some, you lose some. I do have a couple of Christmas dinners on the way, so I'm going to have to go with, I think there's going to be a solid 6 pigs in blankets. But you know what? We're just going out there and hoping for the best. And just remember, the gravy is the most important thing on that plate.
Dave Tanner from UCB1, what's your expected pigs and blankets this Christmas period?
Hello, Ed. It's a tough question to ask, but at the end of the day, here's the thing about pigs and blankets. In our family, we actually prefer sausages and bacon separately.
Oh gosh.
So pigs and blankets are not necessarily the go-to on Christmas Day. And I'm heading to my parents, who they always put in a shift when it comes to Christmas dinner. But I think they'll probably be preparing chipolata separately, maybe some bacon on top of the turkey.
So you don't even buy into the whole concept?
Well, there may well be some pigs in blankets. Who's to say? I'm going to go quite low. I'm expecting maybe between 5 and 7.
David Peake from News and Current Affairs. What's your expected pigs and blankets this Christmas season?
Well, I'm fairly sure that there's a few pigs in blankets in the freezer that we can bring out for this season, and we actually had a really massive effort to get hold of some pigs in blankets at a recent fixture where it looked like they might be out, and then at the very last minute some more came along, so we were able to get hold of it on that occasion. So I am quietly confident our expected pigs in blankets for this season will be around about 5.3.
A good Christmas then.
Absolutely.
UCB1's Steve Best. What's your expected pigs in blankets this Christmas?
Well, I have every confidence in the lads. I think they're going to do a great job. They've been working really hard on the training field this week. And, we're no one player is bigger than a team, you see. And so they're all working together. And I think we're talking about 9.35 from the squad this Christmas.
Excellent stuff. So there you go. That's the XP of the UCB office.
I mean, can we talk about the first outrage? Dave Tanner, separate bacon and sausage on Christmas.
Pigs and blankets.
Why bother with Christmas at all?
It was bizarre.
Now, listen, you might be thinking, what on earth are we doing still talking about pigs and blankets? But it just sort of brings me on to a guest that we've got today. which is Matt Albright, who's a listener to the podcast, but also he's a bit of a stats guy. He loves his stats and analysis. He's actually been involved in the game at club level, doing statistics and analysis. And he's just got an amazing story. So I thought I would play you my chat with Matt Albright. Matt Albright, thank you for joining me on the Big Man Up Top. How's it going? How are you doing today?
Yeah, pretty well, thank you. Just on my lunch break, and yeah, it's going well.
You have a really interesting story, and it's sort of linked with stats and analysis. It's something that you're passionate about. So tell us a little bit about, I suppose, your journey. What started that journey for you?
So my stats journey started at university. I was studying for I thought at the time was going to be going into secondary school PE teaching, and kind of got halfway through the second year and I thought, no, this isn't for me. And I thought, what else is there? What else is around that I can kind of get my teeth stuck into? And then we did an analysis. I can't even say the word. That's ironic, isn't it? I did an analysis module and got the opportunity to work with a hockey club, which I really, really enjoyed. And that's where it all kind of kick-started, really, because having been a coach the years before I went to uni and stuff, it was then, okay, well, this is kind of the cause and effect of things. So you coach, you step in because you see things. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can do that via video and use video and numbers to explain things, then it's going to be a lot of fun, I reckon. And
was there something about your personality that you think meant that you were drawn to that? You were drawn to the numbers and drawn to the data and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think I'm quite black and white, which is a downfall in many ways. But when you can literally explain something that's happened through two different ways that isn't you sort of speaking and stuff, you can engage who you're talking to a little bit better, but also you've got strong backup, so you can make stronger points. And yeah, I just found it really, really interesting as well. It's the side of the game, well, football and hockey at that time, that you never really think of. You think, oh, why has he or she done that? But actually, there's reasons behind it. There's logic. Just a lot to get your teeth stuck into. It's really enjoyable.
So obviously, like, stats and analysis is just a growing part of the game, and everybody seems obsessed with, even just a few years ago, it was XG that people were talking about, and now it's, deep lying midfield runs and all of that sort of stuff. How do you think that the game, that the stats have evolved with like technology and stuff? Because that's been a pretty huge part of this journey, is the advent of technology and what that's done.
Oh, without doubt. I think the XG was one thing, but then stats have come on in terms of what the consumer would watch, in terms of watching Monday Night Football or something like that, and people saying, oh, he's not sprinting fast enough or whatever. It's gone from that to actually, okay, well, let's look at the video of him sprinting. Actually, we can see that he's in the wrong position. We can see from his touch map, for example, that the numbers are saying, well, he's supposed to be receiving the ball here, but he's receiving the ball there. So actually there's more layers to it now, and I think it just becomes more interesting, because you used to be able to throw stats around and make any story you want, whereas actually now there's so much more detail into it that there isn't that sort of room to speculate. It sort of does tell you exactly why things have happened, and I think that's where it's come on leaps and bounds.
In terms of your specific journey, you've had a bit of a time with this, haven't you? Because of the influence of technology and what that's now doing in this arena. So just tell us a little bit about your journey. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so I was with Dorking Wanderers for 3 seasons. Got them promoted. Well, I didn't get promoted. We got promoted to the National League, and then I stepped away because I was getting married. And and moving areas, etc. And then I got involved with another club nearer to home, and it was going well. And we won the league in the first season, and we got promoted. When we got promoted, the chairman spoke to me and says that actually, because they now have to pay for this analysis package, where they get, I think it's 12 pages of data, all generated by a computer. Actually, there's no room for me in their budget, which was hard to take at the time because it's something you really want to do, and kind of felt led to do this, and a pathway opened up for you. But then all of a sudden, you're a victim of your own success in many ways. That now I'm without a club at the moment. Whether I'd want to get into something, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was quite hard to take. But I think I'm not going to be the only person in that position. When a computer can give you far, far, far more than a person can, how can you compete with that?
Because this is something that, like you say, lots of people will understand. Maybe not necessarily in the football world, but elsewhere. That, like you say, technology is advancing so rapidly. It is making people redundant in those kind of ways. How do you feel like God has helped you in this time for you to look at your own career and to pivot and to move on to the next step? Because I imagine God has had to come through in a pretty amazing way for you.
Yeah, I would say so. I think at the time it was quite hard because it felt like kind of this seamless journey from success to with Dorking when I was living there, literally across the road, and then moved to where I live now and stepped into another club, and then for it all just to end was really, really difficult. But I then look at my own work situation, but now I'm in a full-time PE teaching role, again close to home, and 6 weeks holidays and things like that. And I think it's led me to appreciate things more. Like I'm a big Brentford fan, so I look forward to having a day in the calendar where I can go and watch a game at the G-Tech, or even go to my local team and have a bit more freedom. And actually, the sort of gap I had for football just gets filled in other ways now, especially with every Brentford game seemingly being live on TV. I think God's kind of opened up a pathway to be like, actually, no, this is where I want you. And it's going to be a bit of a rocky ride to get there, but he does have a plan. And yeah, I'm really happy in my job now.
That's amazing, Matt, that, through, I think it's fair to say, a time in your life where, you can put your identity in your work, can't you? And actually, to sort of, on the one hand, feel like, God, what is happening here? You've been able to trust in him, and he's come through for you in a special way, and is showing you, a different path, at least for this season anyway. Matt, thank you for sharing your story. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
So that was Matt's story, and yeah, just remarkable that that he's sort of gone through the things that he's gone through, and he's been able to retain this really positive outlook on life, and it's really, really lovely to see. And we'll come on to that in a little bit, but actually, we're going to talk about this idea of being redundant, literally what it means to be redundant from your job, to be made redundant, but also like how you can sometimes feel redundant as well, whether that be in life or families or relationships or whatever that might be. But we're a football podcast, and footballers know this all too well, don't they? We just talked about Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak, and somebody who very much must feel redundant right now is Alexander Isak, isn't that right?
Well, because of the position that he's in, there's this lot of pressure. He's been performing fantastically, especially last season was, a superstar. So for then this stark contrast to take place. We how often can we see these players as just like numbers and goals and assists and defensive tackles or whatever it may be, and we connect them to these numbers and forget that, again, like we were saying before, Ed, that these are people. They've got emotions, they've got form, they've got good and bad days and ups and downs that they will go through. So I do feel for him in this sense of him thinking, like, was that the wrong move? Did I make a bad decision in my life that has brought me to where I am now? And what is that leaving him with? Because at the end of the day, when he's in bed and he's kind of taken on board everything that he's gone through in the day and his wider decisions, what is going through the poor guy's head? So it is brutal when you take a bit of a step back and look at it with this kind of lens.
And, this happens at every club. This is, you have a squad of 25 or however many, and only 11 can play.
Yep.
And a manager wants to pick a relatively structured, steady side. They don't want to be chopping and changing. But I want to be really clear, Joel, that there's a difference here between, we're talking about, yes, humans, they're going to be upset, they're going to be maybe frustrated. At least they still have a job, and at least Alexander Isak can comfort himself with whatever unbelievable salary he's on whilst he's on the bench. So we do need to make sure that we're retaining that sense of perspective.
Of course, yeah.
But actually, this is something that we can all experience too. People find themselves being made redundant. Talking about literal redundancies here. The Office of National Statistics said that in quarter 4 of 2024, so that's October, November, December, there were over 100,000 redundancies last year.
Wow.
And it's usually is around about 120,000 in quarter 4. And you just sort of, that's a lot of people who find out fairly close to Christmas that they're going to be losing their jobs. And so, and I'm sure we all know people who've had to go through that in recent years.
And I think especially in the build-up to what can be, again, looking at the wider picture here, the season around this time of year, where it's very consumeristic. It's very kind of like there's a pressure and an expectation to buy all these things and for Christmas to be, quote unquote perfect or whatever that means, or just simply big enough. Like it's a shocking stat. That many people year on year are in that situation. I mean, even just at all throughout the course of the year, but like especially at that time is really, really shocking. And so I guess it does come back to, okay, what is our attitude? We were hearing from Matt before, and it's amazing how he's been able to see the silver lining almost, if you will, or a little bit more of the context of what that change has brought him. And even though it was something really tough at that moment in time, once that healing process has begun, you can start to see something on the other side of that. And sometimes there is the idea of a door being closed so that a better door can be opened. But that, I'm not by any means saying that is easy. And there's real struggle and there's real battle during that time, and I think that's where we can really come together as people to support one another.
Well, so much of it is because we tie our identity to our work, don't we?
Big time.
Like we're thinking about, well, who am I? I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, and all that sort of stuff. But for me, I'm a broadcaster as well.
Well, when you meet someone, what are the first 2 questions that you'll ask? Is like, what's your name and what do you do?
Yeah.
Straight away. The first 2 things I know about you are what are your name and what do you do? And like you said, we really do attach that to ourselves, to where we are now, how much money we're earning, where we're going to be going in the future, if there's any development in the job, is it something we're going to be able to pass on to other people? There are so many things that we attach to it. And I think on one side, that's understandable. It's a big part of our lives. You spend a third of your working of your life working or something like that. But again, at the same time, like, you're so much more than just what you do and the way that you're blessing people with the skills you've been given.
And I think the thing is, for me, is that what it's really important to do here, as we often do on this program, is to look at Scripture and what does Scripture tell us. And when you say we always have a job with God, actually that value isn't in what we're doing for God. It's not He's given us a mission, and if we don't accomplish that mission, we are somehow useless. It's actually our identity. Our value is in the fact that we are his. There's a lovely story, a parable of Jesus about the lost coin, right, where a woman loses a coin. She has a bag of 10 coins, I think, and she loses one, and she turns the house upside down to find it. And why does she do that? She does that because the coin has value, and just because that coin is lost and therefore useless to her, she can't use that, it hasn't lost its value. It still has the same value. And I think, like, when we look all throughout Scripture, what it says in Matthew 10, where Jesus says, "Are you not of more value than many sparrows?" And God looks after the sparrows. Like, hopefully it's a message that cuts through everything, is that actually you are valued in the eyes of God, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's really important.
I remember seeing this little talk that this guy, he's actually a musician that we play on UCB One, and he gave this talk about saying, look, if you attach your identity to your calling, then there's already something that is in the way of you feeling properly loved by God. Because let's say in my case, like, okay, my calling is that I am a radio presenter on UCB One. That is what I do, and I love my job, and I'm so proud to be where I am. But if that is my calling, anytime I'm not doing that, well, then I must be falling short. So when I'm asleep, does that mean that I'm falling short of that expectation of my calling? Well, actually, yes, if we're putting it brutally, yes, I am. And so, okay, well then that can't be God's heart. But if you put your identity in the fact that I am, Joel, a son of God, well, it doesn't matter if I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm doing well at my job, I'm doing not well at my job, or where I am in the world, that is my identity. I wake up and I'm a son of God. I go to sleep and I'm a son of God. I have a good day, I'm a son of God. I'm a bad day, I'm still a son of God. And so when we attach our identity to that, we are loved 24/7 through the good times and the bad times. And the hard thing is that this world is broken. We will go through really, really tough things. And I think when we're seeing the news, we're seeing that a lot as well. But even on the more kind of day-to-day of quote-unquote ordinary lives, we're seeing that too. And so I'm not trying to say that everything's going to be, bright and merry and everything's going to be fine. But when you have that as your identity, it provides you with a different and wider perspective to the rest of your life, knowing that, okay, God is good, I'm a son of God, and that's what I can be secure in.
Now, just as we finish, I think it's important for us to not just say all these lovely things, Joel. They are very lovely things. But I wonder, for somebody listening who's maybe going through this at the moment, it's very possible that somebody has recently found out they're being made redundant, or they have a loved one who's going through this at the moment. What do we think we can do? What advice do you think Scripture tells us if we're going through a storm like this? What can we do?
Well, I think one of the main things it talks about in the Bible is being in community. And there are so many good people around you listening to this right now, even if you can't see it or maybe you don't believe it. There are people that are waiting to come into your life that God will use to bless you, whether or not that's, going to a local church and just saying, hey, look, I'm really struggling today. Can I speak to someone? Your friends, maybe you haven't heard from someone in a while. Maybe just flick them a message and just say, hey, look, can we have a chat? I need to get some stuff off my chest. I'm struggling. Can we just talk about it? I think that would be the main thing for me, is that please don't go through it on your own. This is not something that you have been tasked to just battle with solo. There are people around you, there are family and friends and the church that are willing to support you in this time. So please don't go through it alone.
And I think the other thing, like personally, that we can do as well, I think we have to make sure that if this storm is happening around us, that we're honest and realistic with it. Like you say, just because we're Christians doesn't mean that the storms don't come. But I think that the crucial thing is that we control what we can control, and then we give God the rest. There's an amazing Psalm 55 verse 22, and it says, cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. And so that's what it's about doing. It's about saying, I will do what I can do, and then I will trust God with what I can't do.
Exactly.
Right, Joel, you're panicking because it's time for Bible Ballers. So let me read the question out. Okay. So, who am I? I'm a Bible baller. So their first name is the name of a book in the Bible. Who is a central defender, picked up 21 caps for England. Not loads, but a decent number. Including scoring at the 2010 World Cup. And I clocked in over 300 Premier League appearances for clubs such as West Ham and Arsenal. Who am I? He also actually played for Stoke as well. There's just a little cheeky extra clue there.
Of course he did.
Just to add that in. Have you got any idea, John?
I literally have no clue.
No clue.
I have no idea. I was at the humble age of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, back in 2010. I'm not trying to make anyone feel old, but I've just that's like I was just watching football and just enjoying it and just enjoying kicking about.
You make me feel young. I was at the humble age of 6.
Oh,
so.
wow. Okay, great.
Defenders that were in the 2010 squad: Jamie Carragher, Glenn Johnson, Stephen Warnock, Michael Dawson, Stephen Taylor,
it was
John Terry, Ledley King, Ashley Cole, and finally Matthew Upson.
Matthew Upson?
Matty Upson, yes. Do you not remember Matty Upson?
I do not remember Matty Upson.
Oh, dearie me.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Well,
the classic book of Matty in the
classic
Bible.
book
Nice.
of Matty, yeah,
And
yes.
the message version.
Well, listen, Joel, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, it's always a joy to come on here and to represent Joe. Maybe not with my football knowledge, but with just the vibes.
Just general, you bring the vibes. It's fine.
And it's always good to get involved. I love what you guys are doing, and it's a really, really good space that you guys have created here. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thanks, man. And producer Tom, good to have you on the mic today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, even though I was useless on the Bible Ballers.
So was I, so it's okay.
But listen, God still values you.
That's
so
it.
There we go.
Wonderful.
Thank you for listening to The Big Man Up Top. If you want to get in touch with the show, please ping us an email to podcast@ucb.co.uk. Tell us what your expected Pigs in Blankets is going to be this Christmas. I do want to know. Make sure you follow, subscribe, give us the good reviews, all that lovely stuff. This will help us to get the word out. And if you've enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends. There will be some special Christmas episodes coming up, so keep an eye out on your
Joel Brown
feed.
will return.
Yes.
Spoilers.
He doesn't know this yet, but he will be.
He will soon.
See you next week.
See you in a bit.
Bye-bye.